Welcome to another episode of Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Weathering Autism. I'm so glad you can be with me again today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please take the time to subscribe. Also hit the bell so that you can receive notifications. Even more importantly, I want to ask that you share this with someone. You may know someone who is raising a child with autism. Hopefully this channel will be some resource that can help them through their journey. So thank you for doing that. Today, I know you already figured it out, but we're going to talk about autism and feelings. Autism and feelings, and we'll do that when we come back. Stay tuned. This is a big one, autism and feelings, because there is a lot of propaganda, if you will, concerning those who are on the spectrum and whether they actually have feelings, which to me is kind of insulting. It's insulting in that autistic people are human too. And when you're taking the feelings, that element, out of their being, then you're basically relegating them to robots. And autistic people are not robots. But this is how they have been portrayed in the media, television, movies, you name it. So this is the myth that I want to bust today, that autistic people do not have feelings. They feel. The problem is not whether they have feelings or they experience feelings, but is in the difficulty in expressing those feelings. So you may find someone who's on the spectrum that appears not to be in touch with their feelings or even experience empathy. But it's not that they're not experiencing these things. It's just they don't understand their feelings. They don't understand, like you and I do, what is anger? What is this I feel? Is this sadness? Is this frustration? And so as moms and parents of children with autism, one of our jobs is to try to help our children get in touch with their feelings. So for the longest time, my son, and I can speak from my experience, my son had trouble expressing feelings. And I'm grateful that the school that he goes to and has been going to for years, has been working with him for years about how he can get in touch with his feelings, how he can understand them, how he can discern them, and how he can properly express them. Because a lot of times with children and people on the spectrum, if they're being bombarded with things and they're having these emotions, these overwhelming emotions, They don't know how to express them, and sometimes that can even come out in a meltdown or some kind of outburst. And so my son's very visual, as a lot of these children are who are on the spectrum. And so, you know, one of the things that they did at school, and I tried to, when he was younger, bring that into the home, is create like a pictograph that has, you know, emojis on it that express certain feelings. And if he's going through certain things, then he would pick or point to those emotions. And that helped him. And still he's having difficulty identifying some of those things that may be happening. So much has happened in our lives lately, and it's hard for him to express and get in touch with those feelings. But we're working on those things. And so what is important for parents is to try to get those tools in your child's hands. And it's different with every family. It's different with every situation. Maybe a pictograph may work for us and may not work for your child, or a social story. Please know, whether you have a child on the autism spectrum or not, and you're just watching these videos for resources and to gain knowledge and information, it is not true that children on the spectrum don't have feelings. Many of them feel very deeply, and I think I alluded to that last time in my last video, very deeply. I know for my son, you know, as I said before, sometimes I took for granted, you know, some of the times when he was in the room and I would say certain things or a certain situation would be going on. But if emotions were high, whether it was sadness or anger, he felt those things very deeply, and there was times when he would just cry. And sometimes it was delayed. You know, it didn't happen that day, or the next day something would happen, and it's like, why is he crying? You know, what is happening with him that, you know, is he sick? Is he ill? Is he in pain? Is he hurting? And a lot of times it was him having this delayed kind of reaction to something that happened the day before or 2 days before. So to say that all autistic children don't have sympathy and don't experience emotion is really, you know, just spreading like a broad brush judgment over everyone who has autism. So there has been cases of violence that has happened. If someone on the spectrum is involved, there's this kind of prejudice that, you know, see, that's what happened in that case. That person had Asperger's, that person was autistic, and look at what they've done. These people don't feel. They don't have any emotions. That's so unfair, and it's so untrue. This is a great myth that needs to be debunked and needs to be destroyed, because children on the spectrum have emotions and have feelings. So what is really going on then with some of these young kids and adults who appear to not feel? One of the missing pieces for people who are on the spectrum is a lot of times that social piece. And even with that, it's not that they don't want to be social. And I hope to talk about that in another episode. It's just they have a hard time being social. They have a hard time relating to people. It's not that they don't want to relate to people. You may see an autistic person that's very verbal, but very abrupt, very straightforward. It seems like they think it and it comes right out of their mouth and they say it. And it seems like they have no regard for people's feelings. But again, it's not in that they're not empathetic, they're not caring. It's just this is something that is a deficiency in them that gives them a hard time, and sometimes they don't even realize that's what they're doing. They're having a hard time relating, and in some cases they need some help in doing that.
Restraints, please. I don't want to get stuck with a needle.
Scaring him. scaring him. You're scaring him. Dr. Shaun Murphy?
This patient is psychotic, Dr. Murphy.
He's not psychotic. You don't like people touching you. He's not psychotic. He's autistic. You're being an excellent patient. Okay, we're finished.
You're same as me.
Can we release his hands? Dr. Murphy, his hands?
I'm here, son. Mom and Dad are here. You can let go of his hands. He won't hurt you.
I want to end my part today with an inspirational moment. It's a quote that comes from Christine Kane. And it says, "Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually you've been planted." And I had thought about that quote, and it's pretty profound, especially to me, because I've gone through quite a few dark places in recent years, and I thought that was it for me. But it's not over until it's over, somebody said. And so when you're in a dark place, don't give up. You may just be being planted for something greater. Even as you weather this storm of autism, don't give up. There is sunshine that comes, even in that dark place. Even if it's a little speck at the end. They say a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train coming at you. It is something better and something greater, and I believe that.
Thank you for watching Autism. Subscribe, like, and share. Bye.